Hey, this is Chase Sexton. You're listening to the MotoXpod show.
What's up, you guys? Jeremy McGrath here. You are listening to MotoXpod show.
Welcome back to the Vital MX MotoXpod show, presented by Race Tech and Boyesen. I'm your host, Jamie Guida. What a weekend of racing we just had, Scotty. 3 separate professional dirt bike series all over one weekend. We're going to discuss Redbud, World Supercross, MXGP from Indonesia again, second week in a row. Lots to talk about, Scotty, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We also have some great guests. Calling in is Firepower Honda's Justin Brayton, Pro Circuit Kawasaki's Austin Forkner, and we were supposed to have AEO Power Sports Lux Turner. He had to cancel this week, so we'll try to get him back on, but he just scored his first points this past weekend at Redbud, and I really liked his name. His name stood out because it reminds me of the Metallica song Lux Eterna. Lux Eterna.
Okay.
So that was it. I put him on my fantasy team and everything just because of that. So I wanted to have him on the show. We're going to have to wait another week, but that's cool. Before we get going on with this, Scotty, you're back in studio running the cameras.
Yep.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. I apologize for my voice, everybody. My voice is a trash can, but I'm still here. So
You don't sound like Mickey Mouse today.
yeah, I guess maybe this might be better.
Might be better.
Maybe everybody wants this instead.
Might be better. Also on the phone, all the way from the UK, Vital MX's Lewis Phillips. What's going on, Lewis?
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing great. Glad to have you back on. You had a very busy weekend. Also, how you feeling after round 1 of the World Supercross?
Yeah, it was interesting, and now a busy week because I'm currently figuring out the very new social media platform, which is very exciting.
What do you mean by the very new social media platform?
Threads.
Do what?
Yeah, I knew you. This is why I thought I'd bring it up. I knew you'd have no idea.
Yeah,
You need to stay ahead of the curve, Jamie.
Okay.
If you're not evolving, you're being left behind.
Clearly.
Now, no one's tweeting anymore. We're all threading.
Okay. Fred, is this like, wasn't there like a show called Fred on like Nickelodeon or something? Or,
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Go ahead.
I'm not even joking. It launched 33 minutes ago.
Okay.
I think I'm 100% certain I was the first motocross related person on there. So I'm quite proud.
Well, I guess I need to start a Fred account. Yeah, since Twitter apparently is limiting our tweets or how many tweets we can read or some crap like that. I don't know. Well, before we get rolling, I want to introduce one of our title sponsors, our presenting sponsors, Boyesen, with the Boyesen opening discussion. Their factory racing rider support program is very important. It's really cool, Scotty. Go sign up at boyesen.com. You can get discounts. You can become a test rider. Yearly discounts. Lots of potential to help evolve the brand. So go sign up. Have you done it yet?
Yes.
I don't believe you. You should. Boyesen.com. We appreciate Boyesen being part of the show. What's up, Scotty?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I don't know if you can still hear it on the show, but I can't hear you on the headphones.
I don't know. Is it registering on the board?
Yeah, you talk.
Wait to check.
No, you're not showing up. Did you mute yourself?
Nope, nothing's muted. So I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Yep, I can hear Lewis. Lewis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Can you hear Jamie?
Jamie, say something.
Something?
Yeah, you definitely don't sound like you're on your mic.
I don't know.
There you go.
Is it better?
But now you do.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
now you
it must
do.
have come unplugged. That was great radio.
Yep, sorry about
Must
that.
have come unplugged. Wow. Anyway, Boyesen Rider Support Program. Go sign up. This is the open discussion. Yeah, Lewis, I want to get into a little bit. I know you talked about it on the post-race show, but World Supercross, you were there watching it on TV during Redbud. It seemed a little disorganized. I rewatched it. I still felt that way. What was the vibe there? Did it feel as unorganized as it did on the broadcast?
Well, first of all, Jamie, you just made a very fatal error, I'm
Okay.
afraid to tell you.
Uh-oh.
You have just criticised World Supercross. So within an hour or so, the fans will find you and they're going to ruin your life. So the good news is that I have experienced this myself, so I can coach you through this. I can walk you through the steps, how to deal with it. Unfortunately, I had no coach. I was just thrown to the wolves
That's a lie.
unexpectedly.
I told you to quit worrying about what people say when it's negative. Just ignore it. People are a-holes.
But no, my point is there is a World Supercross cult, and they are hungry for blood. So well done. You've just given them what they want. No, it did feel disorganized. I don't really know why. Maybe just because it's different, and we're used to a certain type of organization.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely wasn't very well communicated what was going on when, and it didn't feel. Although there was a timetable, it didn't feel like there was a timetable that was being like adhered to strictly, you know. But then again, maybe that's because we're used to a certain schedule, and so a different schedule just felt odd to us. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it develops, though, because maybe like come round 6 in Australia, I think is ending it. Maybe this will feel like the norm, and then we'll go to Anaheim 1, and it will be like, oh, this feels weird. I don't know.
I don't think that's going to happen personally, but you could be right.
I don't know. JB, I'm trying to toe the line.
I do want to mention, as you did on Twitter, you do have a very exclusive interview coming up with Adam Bailey from SX Global, who runs, obviously, and owns World Supercross. So you will probably have some of these questions you have to ask and kind of see what the thoughts are. So that's going to be Friday, your time you're recording that?
11 p.m. Thursday night PST. The goal is just to do a real interview, a real bit of journalism. Like I feel like it would benefit WSX a lot if we kind of cut through the facade of PR speak and answer some of the nitty-gritty questions. So that's kind of my goal. I just want to keep, trying to do the job well and be a proper journalist, I guess.
I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, sometime Friday that should be up on VitalMX.com. There's gonna be some good stuff in there. I think the whole industry is waiting on it. So very excited. Going back to the event though, Saturday. Obviously Ken won. Poor starts, and you talked about a lot of this in the post race stuff. But some of the things I want to touch on just real quick is like Joey Savacci was pretty vocal. I think in the post race and on Twitter that he wasn't invited to press day, and it kind of almost seems like SX Global overlooked him a little bit. Do you have any insight to that?
I don't really know what the requirements were as to who they chose on press day. Obviously, Roxon was there. Obviously, Anstey and Dino were there. They are British, so it makes sense that they were there. Colt Nichols was there. So yeah, maybe you could say that Joey deserved to be there more than Colt, seeing as Colt didn't do the series last year.
Right.
But again, going back to your previous point, it kind of did just feel like here are 6 random riders. It didn't feel like a lot of thought went into we're going to pick Colt over Joey for these reasons. So I don't think there's any reason to really read into the situation. I feel like they probably did choose Colt because it's a new face, something different, and everyone spoke to Joey at Cardiff last year. Whereas, look, we've got a new rider in WSX, and why is he here? Let's ask him,
Yeah, okay. I don't mind that explanation. I think as long as they get him in there in the next one, then everything should be fine.
Honestly, I'm really figuring out how to toe this line, aren't I? I think I'm doing quite well.
You're doing well.
Thank you. I'm learning.
Yeah, I know they're trying different things, but to me, it was kind of weird to see the 3 250s and then the 3 450 races. Well,
they did do that last year, but it is odd. The schedule. You're right.
Yeah.
It's very different. And the biggest thing though with that, Scotty, and you were there, Lewis, so you can touch on it, was like the time leading up to the first one. It seemed like they were on the gate a very long time. Just the time, the waiting time, and then between SX2 and what are they calling the WSX class? It seemed like there was a very long time of waiting.
Yeah, you're talking about the first WSX heat race.
Yes. There was a lot of time there.
Well, yeah, I thought that as well because again, you kind of slip into like your AMA routines. So they did the 250 heat races, and I just presumed that they were going to go straight into the 450 heat races because your mind is trained to a certain way of doing things. So yeah, and then the 450 riders went down onto the gate, and then nothing happened for 20 minutes. So eventually I was like, hang on, let me check my schedule. Like maybe the timing's broken or maybe something's happened, so we're on a delay. But no, it actually was scheduled for there to be that long a break. So I don't know why the 450 riders were down there so early. Because it was on the schedule. Like it was in the schedule that there was going to be a 20-minute break between 250s and 450s. I'm guessing it's because WSX start their TV broadcast but just before the first 450 heat. They don't start with the 250 heat races. Mm-hmm. That was the case last year and this year. So I guess that break just lets them, do their intros and get the show rolling.
Yeah. And I would think, hopefully, this is the third event they've put on, 2 last year, 1 this year. They'll see these things. Hopefully, they'll listen and they'll say, okay, we can tweak this. We'll tweak this. And in theory, it should get better, Scotty.
Yeah. Lewis, what did you think about the attendance of the crowd?
That didn't look good.
It didn't. I know they had they probably did the stadium a certain way, and I saw some areas were packed, but as a whole, what did it look like?
Well, I've said this quite a few places, but it didn't look great. Obviously, they had 2 ends of the stadium that were completely empty, which is never going to look great. But by British motocross standards, it was acceptable. By no means was it a successful crowd that you can shout from the rooftops about how good it was, but it was fine, I think. But if that was in America with that crowd, it would be a disaster. But by British motocross standards, obviously the sport is niche everywhere, but it's even more niche in Britain. And it's going to be even more niche in Singapore.
That's true.
So yeah, by British motocross standards, I think it was fine. It wasn't obviously amazing, but it was fine. And also there was a British motocross championship round the next day. There was World Superbikes, I think, close by. So it wasn't the cleanest weekend to run the opening round.
Makes sense. Do you think, you mentioned Singapore and it being even more niche there, but it is Singapore has a lot of entertainment stuff going on. I just wonder if the people would come out just because it's something unique that they haven't seen before.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really interested because if you told me right now, if you could somehow look into the future, if you told me that it was a sellout, I wouldn't be surprised. But if you told me it was empty, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. The only thing that I can use as a basis is when MXGP goes to Asia, a lot of fans turn up, but that's Indonesia. So I feel like they are thankful for whatever they can get. Whereas, like you said, Singapore get F1, they get a lot of options with entertainment. So maybe they won't latch onto it as quickly. I mean, I've never been to Singapore, so I'm kind of theorizing out of my arse here. But yeah, Singapore, I'm really interested basically to see how the community latch onto it in Singapore.
Yeah, me too. I want to also thank our other presenting sponsor, Racetech, which is the world's largest aftermarket motorcycle suspension modification company. And Scotty, when you get your bike repaired, you got to go put some gold valves in, get them serviced. There's Racetech dealers and service centers all over the country. Racetech.com, find your local service center, get your suspension serviced. They will get you hooked up. Their techs go to the local track so you can kind of hang out with them, visit. A lot of times they can help you at trackside by watching. They're around, and it just doesn't get any better than gold valves. So racetech.com, get it done.
I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, you need to do that. Since you're on the phone, Lewis, we don't have you for a whole lot longer. Let's jump into the Luxon MXGP review real quick. Luxon, when it comes to triple clamps, suspension, and chassis parts, there's no comparison. Luxon MX makes the best parts you can buy. Their advanced engineering background and techniques allow them to develop products that are unlike the rest. They're lighter and stronger with optimized stiffness to enhance your riding comfort and precision. LuxonMX.com. All orders of $100 or more ship free within the continental U.S., and you can use that promo code MotoXpod to save. Back in Indonesia, Lewis, there were some really Really good racing. Again, I think the MXGP is the best series going right now. Your guy, Jeremy Sewer, battled with Ferrandis. In Moto2, I really felt like he would have got Prado had he not got stuck behind Ferrandis and some of that aggressive riding, which did kind of stem from the qualifying race. I went back and watched that today. Those guys don't like each other, I don't think.
No, Fernandez is just an aggressive rider generally. I don't think it was anything particular with Jeremy. He is just, we saw it, well, I saw it, you wouldn't have because you've only just started watching it, but last year in Portugal in the qualifying race, he crashed with Geyser on lap 1 because he was overly aggressive. So he is just that kind of bulldog type rider. But no, Jeremy is just going through the motions at the moment, I feel like. But the good news is I will be at the next round to comfort him. And when he wins that round, I will be taking all the credit.
That would be crazy if he wins it while you're there. But you say he's going through the motions, but I never looked at lap times, but I felt like he was one of the two, maybe the fastest guy on the track. The way he was passing a lot of guys, working hard, going after Koldenhoff. He would make a couple mistakes and drop back, but without those mistakes, like he could have won that race, in my opinion. I didn't check lap times, but it certainly seemed like he was one of the best guys, top 2 guys there that day. Just didn't finish top 2.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the case with MXGP generally. Like there are a lot of riders who can win, and it just depends on circumstance. Whereas in AMA Supercross, it was either going to be Tomac, Webb, or Sexton winning each week, except for the odd exception, obviously. I feel like MXGP, you go there, and it's like, okay, it could be one of 6 riders today. Let's just see who's on. Because for whatever reason, MXGP seems to be more... There seems to be more instances where guys just have an off day, whereas in American motocross, supercross, you can rely on the top guys to be there every week more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. I can see that. Scotty, did you get to watch any of it?
Yeah, I watched some of it, yeah.
What do you think of the track? Because I did talk to Lewis about this off air, and I'm going to ask him to re-explain what he told me earlier, but the track, like, it looked really fun to ride. Like, it looked like it'd be a fun vet track because it didn't really get super rough and braking bumps, but then they would just lose traction randomly because it was so powdery. So maybe it wouldn't be that much fun, but what'd you think?
I mean, it definitely looked like it was a last-minute kind of made track, like that they did it, as just for this. What stood out to me was I saw a couple of them. They were coming out of this corner and doing like a roller, but they were using the roller to jump over the face of the jump.
Yeah.
And then like double out of that. When they do stuff like that, it just blows my mind.
Just a different rhythm.
Yeah,
that was a couple guys were doing
it's
that.
It's like they did not make that to be that way, but they were just like they just manhandled it and just did it. So that was impressive to see.
And Lewis, that is what you said, right? They just recently built that track for this purpose, and that's why the conditions were what they were.
Yeah, it was built on a runway, airport runway, which is, I feel like, quite a unique thing. But yeah, because obviously I'm no track builder, but like when you build a new track or new BMX jumps or something, it takes a while for the dirt to like settle in, doesn't it? Like pack in, that's the best wording. And the track was so fresh that I think the dirt was kind of shifting around a lot, which made it a bit deceiving, a bit tricky to race on. But so a few riders said to me that as far as man-made tracks go, it was probably one of the better ones because it was completely man-made on a flat bit of concrete. So I don't think it was terrible.
No.
Like, it was... I do probably agree that it was one of the... Like, it didn't strike me as like you turn it on and you're like, oh, this track blows.
No, it was... Look, again, visually it looked cool. You could just see at moments that it would just turn to powder. Like there at the end when Seawer was going after Koldenhoff on the last lap and the back end just broke loose randomly. You see a lot of that. It was just very powdery and maybe some pebbles and, not the best traction, but those guys handled it well. And I thought it was a good race. I mean, I was excited. Again, I think it's the best series on right now between the 3 major series. With the MX2 class, Geertz is back, Jago Geertz, and he's he didn't miss a step. He was 1-1.
Yeah, he may win the championship after all.
Yeah.
Which if he does win the championship, I guess it would go down. Well, I don't know if it. I was going to say it would go down as one of the most heroic championships ever, but then guys have missed rounds before and got it done. Hurling's most notably.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't be that shocking. MXGP is so long that there are, as I said, there's a lot of highs and lows. Riders get injured when they come back. It really is a long championship. Well, when you think the time that it takes to run AMA Supercross and AMA Motocross, MXGP is just still going that entire time, just rolling on.
Yeah. Obviously it's spread out. They have more weekends off, but still it's a long series. And yeah, I think he's 47 points down right now on Adamo. And again, I think I told you, it might have been off the air. I'm kind of bummed. Kaida Wolf just seems like he's just too inconsistent, unfortunately. And that's really good first moto. Second moto just struggled. So, but the MX2 class is right now. There's 3 or 4 guys that can win, and Lucas Kunin and Liam Everts did not have the best weekend. I was kind of hoping those guys would be up front again, but yeah, they didn't come through this weekend.
No, I do think that MX2 is probably the most exciting class in the world right now.
Yep.
As far as unpredictable racing. Obviously, the 250s in outdoors are pretty hotly contested at the moment, but I feel like still MX2 in GPs is more unpredictable. It's more who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Whereas you can have a pretty educated guess as far as pro motocross goes.
Yeah, because for the most part, even the top guys could get first or second and then be 5th or 6th. Benestanc's kind of been on, he's been off. Same with Adamo. And then like I said, the young guys, Liam and Lucas, same thing. They're just, it's all over the place. It's inconsistent, but for us, it's pretty exciting because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Speaking of series, someone in the chat has just said exactly what my point is. They said, basically, give WSX a chance. It's good, blah, blah, blah. It has its good points, but it also has improvements needed. But the same can be said about everything else. And that's been my point all along. Nothing is perfect in this world, and we're all just shooting for perfection.
Yeah.
As is WSX, as is Build. We're all just shooting for that perfection. No one's perfect. No one's claiming to be perfect.
I don't feel like I'm tearing down WSX at all. It's more racing. I just think they have a few things they need to work on, and I hope that they do say, okay, here's some of these problems. Let's knock 1 or 2 of them out at a time, and it will get better. And I'm sure they were going to do their best to do that. I thought you were motioning. You thought you had something to say. But, yeah, the track wasn't perfect. It was a little bit one line in some sections, but they're going to figure all that stuff out. Mainly the program, watching on TV, it just seemed very drawn out a lot of time. And, of course, you guys touched on the Mike Alessi incident and the flagging. That's got to be fixed. That can never happen again.
Yeah, I think that was just a bit of a black cloud over the entire event, to be honest. If there wasn't... Basically, that was the drama. If there wasn't that incident, then there would have been no drama or no kind of hot topic of discussion leaving WSX, which is obviously the best case scenario. But it did happen. It definitely, if it happens again, then that obviously would be a real issue, but you would expect it not to. I think, it's weird because the program did feel drawn out, but then it had technically more racing than AMA Supercross because, when we have a Triple Crown in AMA Supercross, we don't do the heat races, whereas they did heat races and kind of a Triple Crown. So I don't know what it is as why it felt so drawn out. I guess the races are shorter, so maybe total track time is less. That is something to look into, actually. Triple Crown AMA Supercross versus WSX. What is the track time comparisons like?
Yeah, well, that would be good for somebody at Vital does a stat article every week. That'd be a pretty good one.
No, that person's retiring.
I love it. Before we let you go, 2 more things. Chase Sexton, the ship was back this weekend. Good ride, I think. I'm sure a lot of people were thinking, he's going to go out and battle Jet for the win, and we all wishful thinking, hoped that was going to happen. But honestly, coming back with, what do you go, 2-3?
3-2.
3-2?
No, sorry. You're right. 2-3.
2-3. Still a great performance. It's only going to get better. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think that was probably what I expected. It was going to be such a tall order for him to come in and battle with Jet. I think Southwick will probably be similar. Millville will probably be a step forward, and then Washougal Unadilla, I would think that he will be battling with Jet and maybe even beating him and ending the streak. But yeah, I have Washougal circled on my calendar as the first time when I'll go into the race thinking, right, now something could happen, you know? Whereas there's always going to be a bit of a transition phase when you're coming back to just get up to speed.
Yeah, it takes a little bit. All right, last thing. 60 picks for Southwick. What's your podium for the 450 class?
Well, actually, I think that's quite easy. Similar to Redbud, I'll just go Jet, Sexton, Ferrandis.
I almost feel like we should switch this to the 250s, but that's not that hard. I mean, you still got your winner is pretty much one of the Lawrence brothers, it feels like, but yeah.
Well, you need to make it so there's some money put down on something. That'll make it a bit more interesting and a bit more serious.
Well, all of us have pretty well sucked every week, except I think Scotty did get the picks right like 2 races ago. That's the only time any of us have been pretty accurate. So I'm going to pick something weird this week. I'm going to have to switch it up. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll pick like AC.
AC has been getting better.
AC, Lux Turner, and Dylan Ferrandis.
Okay.
Lewis, I'll let you go. It's late. I know you got lots to do tomorrow, I'm sure. And yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
No stress. Thank you for having me. And everyone, remember to follow me on the new app, Freds, @_Lewis Phillips.
I will
Freds
join.
is where it is.
I will join Fred's app as soon as I'm done.
Wait, spell it.
Fred?
No, is it really called Fred? Like FREDS?
No, Fred as in TH. Freds.
Thread. Oh gosh, dang it, Lewis.
Oh, Thread.
I thought you were saying Fred.
Oh no, like Fred, like a Fred of yarn.
Yeah, gotcha.
Understood. I will sign up for the Thread app and the Fred app.
Yeah, they do sound very similar, actually. Yeah, I guess they're exactly the same word.
Lewis, thank you, buddy.
No problem.
Right.
Thank you for letting me ruin your show.
You always make it better. Any of the haters can suck it.
Well, thank you.
All right. Talk to you tomorrow, Lewis. See ya.
See ya. Bye.
Lewis Phillips, everybody. Don't be hating on my buddy Lewis. He is a fantastic moto journalist. He really kicks butt at Vital MX. So yeah, all the haters need to.
I don't understand the Lewis hate.
I don't understand hate in generally. I just don't like I talked to Lewis about this again off air. I'm like, if somebody doesn't like your work, okay, that's one thing. Fine. You don't like his style of journalism and say, hey, he's not my bag of tea. But most of the complaints are like, I don't like his accent. That is the stupidest thing. That's like when they said, when I first started doing this, everybody said, or one dude said, I don't like Darkside because he's too nice. That is stupid. That is a stupid reason to not like somebody. Like, judge off the work he does, and the work he does at Vital MX is premier work. He's one of the best journalists, if not the best journalist in the sport, and he deserves to be recognized as that. And he has become a very good friend of mine, but I just don't like the bashing for no reason. Again, if I don't like somebody, like I bust your balls because we're friends. That's what we do.
Yeah.
But if you don't know him, you don't know me, they don't know you, like why go on social media and just talk trash? Why? What is the point? What do you get out of that?
Well, I mean, the motocross industry is known for being super open-minded. So.
Well, I think that's the world in general, but it's just, I just don't understand it. I will never understand it. Yeah, I don't get it.
I had something that we were talking about Redbud.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm going to get JB on the phone.
Did you feel like on the first moto that like Jet kind of brought it a little bit more? Like he was like he like it seemed different to me.
In Moto 1? Yeah, he was pushing pretty hard in Moto 1. He's had to do that a couple times this year when last week when Dylan Ferrandis got close.
Yeah.
He would step it up, but he doesn't.
Well,
he's something special.
I know. I seen like the very first moto, like he knew that Chase was back, and like you could tell a difference that like he was like he didn't know what Chase was going to bring, so he was like, yeah, I'm just going to go.
You think he stepped it up for that reason?
Yeah, it looked that way. It looked like he was really just letting it out.
I would imagine, especially at his age, all these racers have a little bit of ego, and yeah, you want to be like, okay, bring it, and Jet's gonna be no different, especially at his age. And so yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit more here. We got our first guest on the line, and he's going to be brought to you tonight by FXR, which is designed by racers for racers with industry-leading fit, finish, and performance. Progression is the name of the game. With every new piece created at FXR, we push our brand to the next level to provide you with the best products possible. So visit fxrracing.com to see the numerous gear lines and colorways. Go to your local dealership. Ask for FXR. Tonight, FXR brings us from Firepower Honda, Justin Brayton. What's up, JB?
What's up? How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. You glad to be back home?
Yeah. It was a quick trip to London, and then drove up to Birmingham, and I was only gone a few days. So, but yeah, always nice to be back with the family.
So I want to ask you. Obviously, round one, you went 5, 8, 9, I believe, for 7th. How do you feel about your performance? Do you feel like you were prepared? Obviously, you haven't been racing much this year, or at all this year, really.
No. I mean, honestly, to answer your question, it's probably one of the worst of my 20-year career now. But it was really weird. Last Tuesday, my last day riding at Club MX, I messed up my neck and had this. I didn't even crash. I just sat down off the landing of this triple to shave a little corner off, to make the inside a little bit tighter. And I came up a little bit short, hung the rear wheel a little bit, and it kind of jolted my back. And I had this pinched nerve or something in my neck that when you're in an attack position, with the bars, and you put your head up, I couldn't even lift my head. And when I did lift my head, my right arm went completely numb. So I was hoping it was going to be okay. I got a ton of treatment before I left. And then I didn't know how it would be, until practice one. And as soon as I went out the first lap, I was like, oh no. Mm-hmm. And I did one lap in each practice, and then I just kind of survived. I had great starts, and then honestly just rode her. I couldn't even skim the whoops. And
okay,
those who have followed my career know that I don't jump whoops, that's for sure. And I had to roll some of them, and it was just, man, it was so frustrating because I actually felt like I was really prepared. To your point, I hadn't done any racing in a long time, but I kind of know the level, that you need to be at, or the feeling that you need to have on the bike to be able to compete at the highest level. And I had that feeling. And, but man, I've never had anything like that happen. So pretty unfortunate. So yeah, I'm kind of chalking it up to that was not even close to how I'm going to be or should be.
I had a feeling that's how you're going to answer. And I have some of those things you said in my notes, but I've been accused of starting all my interviews off kind of negative. So I didn't want to go right into, you were kind of slow in the whoops. And I noticed you didn't look like yourself, but since you said it, but what you're talking about, that hand going numb and stuff, and not to take it back to me, but a few years ago, I had some a pinched nerve and my hand was numb. And I had this feeling of when you hit your funny bone, but it would stay that way for days and hours on hours, and my hand was going numb. And it's kind of scary when you get on. That's actually when I crashed Damon Bradshaw's bike. I was still dealing with that. So just surviving round one and having 3 months off is probably a blessing for you.
Yeah, and it's just such a bummer because I haven't hit the ground at all. Then literally 3 laps to go in my last moto before I was getting on the airplane. Yeah. So didn't crash into nothing wrong, really, just hung the rear wheel a little bit, and that's the way it goes. But I watched a couple clips. Actually, your buddy Steve Mathis sent me a clip of me basically rolling through the whoops, and he was like, JB, what are you doing? And I'm just like, man, I couldn't feel my right arm at that point. And then I'm telling you, anytime, you're holding on to the bars and you put your head up, it's it almost drops me to my knees. And so I had to seat bounce, the finish line. I don't know, for people that watched it, you came out of this right-hand 90-degree turn up the finish line jump, and typically you would stand and kind of scrub it. I had to sit down on the back of the seat with my head down all week. It was brutal, man. It was absolutely brutal. I was getting passed by guys that I'm just you've got to be kidding me. But
yeah,
I still got 7. So although that's a horrendous result, still got some decent points, and if we can be on the podium from here on out, should be all right by the end of this thing.
Yeah, and I think There were some guys there that were faster than I expected, but I definitely think you'll be able to be up there. You know, if you get some recovery and try some acupuncture. That weirdly enough,
I got it done today.
Okay,
I just got it done today. Yeah, funny you say that. Yeah.
I did it thinking it was kind of BS, and that's actually it went away after that. Whether it was coincidence or not, I don't know, but yeah, good deal.
Yeah, one of my wife's best friends, she has her own acupuncture office here in Charlotte, and so yeah, I went over there today, and we'll see. But also my trainer Corey Wharf, he does a lot of cupping. Like there's all kinds of tools and gadgets that you have, you know. And I've tried to pull out all the stops before I left. It didn't work, but now that I'm back, we try to get this thing calmed down. And I don't know, Darcy, is that I'm almost 40, so does that have anything to do with it?
I think so, man. When I hit 40, everything changed, JB. I mean, but
brutal.
Speaking on that, I mean, I'm 40. I'll be 48 like next week or soon, and I'm probably in the best shape of my life, though. So you're in a whole different world than I was when I was 40. I didn't do anything to take care of myself, so you're fine.
Yeah. It's funny, like the age thing comes up a lot, but man, I'll tell you what, when you're like, I'm 39, I'll be 40 next March.
Right.
When I was 20 and I looked at a 40-year-old, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got so old. But now I'm almost 40 and I'm like, I feel like I could be 25, you know? So it's, it's crazy. As we know, life goes by quick, but yeah, here we are almost 40. Can't even get around a supercross track.
No, you're fine, dude. You're fine. You're not your average 40-year-old. So
yeah, that's right. But to your point, I actually felt really, really good going into the weekend, and I thought for sure going in I could be on the podium. Obviously, I didn't know how I could compete with Ken. He's coming off a lot of racing and you know, at a high level. I hadn't raced since I guess end of November. Australian Supercross.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought for sure I could be on the podium, and I think that's where I probably would have been. But I knew Joey would be pretty good, and Ken. I didn't know how Colt would be with a new bike. I know Dino, you know, would be all right. But yeah, there's definitely some good guys, and you know, that track too. I don't want to be negative, but you go after the finish, there was a berm, and then every single corner from that one all the way back to the finish, guys were just going inside every single corner. I'm just, man.
I mean, I think Kenny and maybe somebody else went outside before the whoops a couple times, but it was so far out there.
It's just far out there.
Yeah.
It's funny, before the heat race, I think it was. So Kyle Peters, good buddy of mine, we trained together and stuff. After practice, because I hate when people go inside before the whoops and jump. I'm just like, I just cringe, you know?
Yeah.
And oddly enough, I had to do that because I was basically rolling the things. But so KP wins the first heat race, goes inside, you know, pretty much everywhere. And then Chad Reed, you know, he's helping with the series. He radios or tells us, like, hey, moving the tough blocks out before the whoops, so it's not such an advantage to go inside. And me and Chad think alike, right, with the whoops. I'm like, yeah, funnel everybody to the outside. If you want to jump them, you can still jump them. But to your point, the outside was so far from the inside, like you just couldn't even go out there. If you went out there, you had to hit the whoops super, super fast. And so, yeah, they'll figure that stuff out. But, yeah, the berms from the inside were just – it was so, so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin, sorry about my voice, by the way.
Scotty's sick.
Yeah.
No, you did.
It had to be tough. You know, hearing you talk so far, it's been that kind of thing where you're wanting to battle with these guys, but you're really just out here kind of being an ambassador for the sport, and, you know, and you're carrying the legacy of the sport, but you're still finding yourself like, well, man, I should have been on the podium. Like, it's just kind of talk about how, like, once you get back into the race, whether it's, you know, like how that competitive fever gets you.
Well, that's a great question. And, you know, the older I've gotten, the more, you know, a lot of people say, well, I wouldn't do it unless I could win or this and that. And there's definitely, that's part of it. But man, to be honest, it's such a juggling act for me right now because I do absolutely love it. I still can compete, but I've also seen the other side of life where, you know, I've taken summers off. I haven't done motocross in years, but I've seen that side of life where you can not do something you're passionate about. We just lived in Iowa for 7 or 8 months, and And man, I'll tell you what, it was really, really difficult going through that long without like that drive to be the best at something or have that, you know, we joke about the process all the time, but I missed hanging out at the track. I missed getting, you know, ready for something. And although I have businesses and things outside of racing, as long as I can still do it, and as long as I can truly feel like I can compete and I've got good equipment and make good money doing it, and I just feel like you do it for as long as you can. And Chad Reed was a prime example of that, you know, and he still did it at a high level. Some years, not so much, but there's something about waking up with that drive and that process to do something. And then also teaching my kids, like, look, you can do anything you want at any age. You can chase your dreams. And, you know, I'm over there in England racing and they're watching me on TV from Charlotte, North Carolina. And so there's a lot of teaching lessons in that too. I take all of it into consideration while I'm still doing it. Do I have to? No, definitely not. But I absolutely love it. I love that the competition, the camaraderie, the lessons that it brings, like I said, but 100%, I still feel like I can be on the podium. And look, if I was a 7th place guy, I can promise you it would be not that much fun for me, and I wouldn't do it.
You don't think you still want to go?
It takes away from so much of the other stuff, because then it's not really a teaching lesson for my kids. It's more like, what's dad doing out there, you know?
Man, I don't know if I agree completely. I look at Chiz, and I think he's still a successful guy. You know, he might be a 5th to 7th place guy or even 10th place guy in the American Series sometimes, but I think that's still pretty damn good at that level of competition. And I think your kids still can see, look, hey, yeah, we're still competitive. We're still doing what we love. And why stop? You know, just because you're not winning doesn't mean that there's nothing wrong with 10th place in American Supercross or, you know, even top 5 in World Supercross.
Yeah, for sure. American Supercross, if you're a top 10 guy, that's legit. I lived that life for a long time, you know? But if I'm going to World Supercross, and getting 7th to 10th or, you know, 12th or whatever, then I feel like, you know, I'm not doing the proper things to even be there. For me, anyways, I'm not taking away anything from anyone else, but like for the equipment I have, the money that I have a figure, right? I have for several years now. I'm like, okay, what's it going to take? And my wife and I talk about it all the time. Like, we can't just do it for fun. It's not hobby racing, right? And there's a certain figure that you want to get up off the couch and go to work. And it's obviously dangerous, and leave my family for a week at a time sometimes. So for me, there's a lot of things that have to make sense. And then if all that makes sense, then that tells me I can go race at the highest level. And then it is teaching lessons for my kids that, you know, I'm trying to be the best that I can be. And like I said, did I expect to go beat Kenny? Probably not. I've never been that guy, right? So why would I be now at 39? Can I beat him, you know, maybe a race or two on any given night? Sure. But yeah, if I'm riding like I was last weekend, and that's kind of my point for my riding and my ability and where I've been to feel safe and all that, then yeah, I wouldn't want to do it at that pace, I guess.
That's fair.
Yeah, JB, you had a couple of good starts that where you were kind of right there with the front group. And, you know, Kenny obviously was the guy, and it looked like he was being super aggressive. Did it look, you know, you've rode behind Kenny his whole career, you know, I've been around him. Did it seem like anything different than what Kenny normally does, or was that kind of like stand out to you at all?
Man, he's so good at those first few laps, right? And at the world stuff with the shorter races, like he's got to make quick work and make it early. And the one thing that I will say, it did seem a little different because the track was just really difficult to pass on and really easy. So he had to be that much more aggressive, and it brought out the best in him. And I think he looks really, really good on the bike right now. I mean, like you said, I've been around him a long time, and practice days and seeing him on his best days and not so good days. And I'll tell you what, he looks really, really good right now. You know, talking to him off the track, he feels great. And I think the best is yet to come for him. I really, really do. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a little bit biased, but I think the way he feels, the way he is approaching life, the things he's learned, you know, on his darkest days, has only made him stronger. And it's fun for me to see because I've been around on those darkest days, so to see him climb out of that. And as we know, that's a lot of work, to get through that, especially a guy of his level, to have the media and social media now just like scrutinizing him and, him getting a hole shot and fading to 11th or 12th on any given night and what he's getting paid. And so to climb out of that is so difficult, to stick with it. And really proud of him as a friend. And then as a competitor, man, he looks really, really good. We'll see what happens next year as far as, team and bike and all that. But I think if he can stay where he is and keep building off that platform, I think he's going to be dangerous in 24.
Yeah, you can tell his personality is a little different. His mental output, he's happier, which is great to see. And I did text Souls. I was like, dude, work on some starts, boys, because the starts were weak. And again, with that track being the way it was very impressive that he made his way up like he did. Speaking of, going back to the series itself, I was talking to Lewis Phillips a little bit ago. He was on the intro of the show, and it felt like the time schedule, the time you guys sat at the gate waiting to go before the heat races, and the time between the SX2 and the WSX class seemed excessive. Did it feel that way to you?
Oh man, the first heat race was way excessive.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we lined up and I'm like getting ready to go. And Sean, my mechanic, he was like, we've got like 28 minutes until it says gate drop. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I forget the exact time, but he said, yeah, we don't go till 6:36 or whatever the time was, And I'm like, what, really? And then the guy comes around and he's like, yeah, and Sabachi even missed his gate pick. He had first gate pick for that heat, and he missed his gate pick because he's like, why did you guys line up so early? Why are we already down at the gate, And so, yeah, that was a little bit strange. And then also for the fans, like you just got done with two 250 heat races. I think they're 5 laps.
Yep.
So the fans are all excited, and they're engaged. There's a total of 10 laps on the track, and then you have a 30 or 40-minute break. It was like, that did feel a little bit strange. But look, they're going to work on all that stuff. And
I agree.
I think a lot of it, or I know a lot of that was TV, right? Because I think they came live before the first 450 heat or something. So yeah, tweak that stuff a little bit. And I'm sure there's reasons for everything, right? Like that's the thing is people will criticize whether it's WSX or even, Feld at some point or MX Sports and my comeback always is just, it is so difficult. Like you guys have no idea what goes into these events and the scheduling and the logistics to get everybody there and the money it takes to get everyone there. And it's so hard. I put on a few local races and that's extremely difficult.
Right.
I can't imagine putting on a race around the world or a race, here in America in front of 60,000 people. It's just, I've always had a lot of slack for the promoters and Feld and everybody. Like I cut them a lot of slack because it's so hard and everybody's pulling you which way. And then you're trying to, somebody's asking you for passes at the last minute and you're thinking just all that. So yeah, it really, really difficult to pull it off. It's cool that they're trying. It's given a lot of people jobs. There's a little bit of a separation right now, which is a huge bummer, especially for me, because I've done this schedule for so long, and I can even sense like people are, kind of not been too happy even that I'm racing it. And I'm just,
Really?
And I started doing this in 2016. This is nothing new for me.
Yeah.
This is how I've made a living for a long, long time. And it's unfortunate, but, it's just the way it is.
Justin Brayton tonight brought to you by FXR.
Hey JB, sorry man, my voice is bad, dude. How much are they? Do they rely on guys like you? And obviously Chad's got a big part of it now. How much of influence are you guys having on that and how they do things like that you just talked about?
Like the program in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Chad will be a huge part of that. Even on track walk, like I had pulled Chad over and to our point earlier about the tough blocks and the insides being so far from the outside, it was even worse on track walk. And I said, Chad, they've got to do something about this. So they they tried in a couple corners, but then it just ended up around the whole track just was too open. But I mean, Chad's as smart as they come, you know, like I think he's going to be great for that series. I think he would be great for any addition to any series. You know, we know that he's not afraid of the truth. And a lot of times people need to hear the truth, and sometimes they don't like to hear it. But yeah, I think he'll be fantastic. I think he'll come to riders and teams and, you know, to get their input. But I also think he's wore pretty much every hat you can in our industry, you know, and I think that's really, really rare to find. So he can look at it from all angles. And if something makes sense only from the rider's perspective, but nothing else, maybe let him make the call. Is it the right call? Is it the wrong call? Or, you know, if teams are asking for something that's out of line or in line, like, I just think he can really navigate those waters and have a really clear answer to the promoters. And I think he's going to be great. I really do.
I got a couple more questions for you. One more World Supercross question. During the broadcast, at some point, you got behind your ex-teammate, for Vince Freeze. And, of course, they brought up the drama from last year. In my mind, you're not the kind of guy that probably is even thinking about that on the track. Like, there's no payback coming from you or anything. But I guess I want to ask, though, did you talk to Vince? Is there any animosity, or you past it?
I haven't talked to Vince. No, I don't plan on it. I really don't care to be honest.
Sure.
I don't think I would get anything out of that conversation because I've talked to him 100 different times and helped him in a lot of different ways, from team aspect. You know, so many, I've said it before, I think on Pulp or something, but like, sure. I don't think I would get anything out of the conversation. So what's the point? You know, I still talk to Genova. I have a lot of respect for Genova and Tony. But yeah, I don't have any plans to.
Okay. Totally understand. You mentioned your kids earlier, and I noticed on social media that they've been riding. They got to go out to Club MX and ride. I just wonder if there's ever going to be a Brayton Wygant battle between the boys.
Oh, there's already been some Brayton Wygant battles. When Weege was down, Lane was, what did he do? Did he do Nashville?
Yeah, I think so.
Or did he do Denver? I forget. Whichever one he was training for.
I think Nashville.
I think you're right, yeah. But he was getting ready the week of, and Beckham happened to be down there riding her. We were down there, and I'm on a group text with Weege and Mathis and Phil, and they were kind of bantering back and forth or something. And then Weege said he was on his way down the club, and I'm like, well, I'm already down here. So anyway, yeah, Lane and Beckham got to do some riding on the Supercross track on mini bikes. So that was a lot of fun. And Lane's pretty good. I don't think he rides a ton, but like the little bit he rides, I think he's a pretty good athlete. And yeah, he rides good. So, but will there be any battles in the future? I don't know, man. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, Beckham's enjoying it. He's having a lot of fun, and I don't take him probably enough. Me and my wife were talking about that today. Like, I wish I could take him more, and but also don't like say, hey, we're going riding today. I'm like, hey, you want to go ride? And if he wants to go, we'll go. But
right.
He wanted to go tomorrow, but actually had to. My wife's dad they're taking his boat out tomorrow, so we're going to go on the lake. And I'm like, hey, bud, I think the track's going to be too muddy tomorrow. I think because it just rains. I'm like, it's too muddy.
I like it.
So I kind of had to lie a little bit, but yeah, it's fun. It's crazy how quick they learn so young. Like, you know, he's 5, and it's like, yeah, he gets around a Supercross track, no problem. And
right.
It's crazy.
Scotty, can you imagine, you know how much Weege loves Justin Brayton, and Justin is very complimentary of Weege. Can you imagine if that friendship was ended because the boys battling just ended up hating each other?
He'd probably tell his son to not beat him.
No, Weege would like probably disown his son before he disowned Justin Brayton. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's funny. Lane's a good. What did he get, like 5th or 6th at the KTM Junior race?
I think so.
Any practice?
Yeah, because Weege, like the kids,
he was like, a real bike.
Yeah, a bike that wasn't falling apart. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I think he's really improved from what Jason said over the last couple of years. Because a couple of years ago it was, he could barely ride the thing, and now he sounds like he's got, he's just a testosterone's pumping. My last question for you is: you did a lot of TV last year. You really seem to enjoy that. Daniel stepped down, so positions open up. Have they talked to you any about doing more TV next year? Do you know what the schedule is? And I think you'd want to if it was available.
Yeah, I had a couple conversations, after Supercross ended. There was maybe some talk of me doing some nationals, but with me doing World Supercross, obviously there's a little bit of a conflict there.
Yeah.
Would I want to do Supercross next year? Absolutely. I really enjoyed it. The feedback I got by just really having no coaching, just kind of being thrown in there, feel like I got better and was able to learn quite a bit and did halfway decent. So would I love the opportunity? Absolutely. Like I said, it was a ton of fun. Brought a whole new perspective to, once again, like I was saying, Chad wears all the hats, or he's worn most of the hats in racing. This is a prime example of why I give these promoters and stuff so much credit, because just living the TV side of it, just that, it's a massive undertaking and so much money and so many people and so many things have to go just perfect for them to pull it off. That's just the TV side, let alone the live show and the gate drops and the track builds and the getting dirt and all of it, just on and on and on. So really, really enjoyed it. Not sure if I'll have an opportunity, but I'm sure those discussions will start here in the next couple months. But bummer for Daniel, good friend of mine, and he actually picked up a bike from my shop here in Charlotte today, 10 cycles, and he's going to be on the motorcycle and getting back to it. So
I love it.
Yeah, it'll be fun to ride with him.
Yeah, it'd be great. I talked to Bonacci not too long ago, Mike, and I'm going to try to get out to club for a week or so. He invited me out.
Have you never been?
I have never been, but I've been obviously I'm riding.
Dude.
Well, you probably don't know, but I've been riding a lot. I went to Texas Tornado with Van Martin a few weeks ago. This last 2 weekends ago, I went up to Game with Albertson and rode with Kiefer. But I'm trying to ride a lot. My goal is to make my first ever Loretta's next year.
Okay, you're already training for it a year ahead of time.
Yeah. I've just been trying to get my butt in shape because of the age thing that we talked about earlier. And with the new job, I'm riding more, and I jumped on troll training. Thought that'd be interesting to see how that goes.
Nice.
And Alex said make a goal. So the first goal was Ironman GNCC again this year, because I did not finish that last year. And then I was like, you know what? I want to do a year goal of let's go for Loretta's. I've never even considered trying it, so let's do that. So I want to come out to the club, check it out, and that'd be a good place to train. I'd have to come out there and
man, it's unbelievable. And I'm telling you, I've been to a lot of tracks around the world, and club is still one of the biggest hidden gems. It's unbelievable, the facility and the tracks. And I'm not even just being biased. I'm when I pull in there every day, I'm just like, this place is unreal. And I've had people come even Ken came last year for the first time, and he was like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. So cool place. You'll definitely make some time, because it's worth it. I'll
figure it out and try to maybe it'll be a weekend you can come down and make fun of me. And that's the problem when I go out ride with guys. If I start riding guys like you, it's going to get out how bad I am.
I don't know. Did you watch World Supercross this past weekend?
Well, okay,
we would have battled, dude.
Maybe so. I don't know. I think that's probably inaccurate, but it'll be fun to get out there. I'll do my best to get there this year soon. But great talking to you, JB, and really enjoy it as always. Absolutely. We'll talk to you again soon, man.
Cool. Thanks, guys. See you.
Justin Brayton, brought to you by FXR. That was a fun interview. It was good.
Yeah,
as always.
I really wish I like JB a lot. I wish I could talk to him more.
Yeah,
but
your voice when you first start talking, as most people do when they have that issue, it squeaks.
Yeah,
it's great. I love it.
Sound like I'm just found my nuts.
I may have to pull all that and just put it all together.
Just all my squeaks.
Yeah, squeak. I want to thank WUSA for being on board. They were going to be the who brought in Lux Turner, but since he's out tonight, I was texting with him. He may be able to do the show next week, and he's in Murrieta, California, which is real close to where ML lives. I'll be there next Wednesday, so maybe we can get Lux in studio.
I won't be in California. So.
No, you won't be, but maybe Lux will be. But W is your source for all things wheels. If you're looking for a complete set of wheels for your bike, we have something for every budget If you want to use the same wheels used by Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, Malcolm Stewart, Christian Craig, Chad Reed, and McGrath, just to name a few, visit WUSA.com. WUSA, if you look at the podium, pretty much every bike that's on the podium, minus the Hondas, are on W wheels. Saw Deegan absolutely case the ever-loving hell out of the Larocco's Leap. Did not break his WUSA wheels. WUSA, use that promo code MotoXpod show to save. Let's talk about a couple
It was kind of funny that, Deegan or the Yamaha guys were the only ones that were able to do the leap every time. And
that was very telling, was it not?
Yeah, did they? I know they went top 3 in the last moto, but did they top 3 overall? I just hadn't looked at the results since Saturday.
Yeah, Cooper and Deegan did.
Yeah,
you talking about everybody? And I think Levi Kitchen too. Yeah.
It's kind of funny how that correlates.
WUSA, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
So Chase and Hunter were the only only guys on the podium that were not on W wheels. Let's talk about Hunter's crash.
Yeah.
That was scary. Definitely thought.
I was like,
I thought his season was over for a moment because it definitely his reaction seemed like something was broke, right? Seemed like wrist or arm. And what'd you think when it first happened? Did you start looking at the points? Because I was like, oh, who's second? How far ahead is second? And then we realized it's Deegan. I'm thinking, oh man, can you imagine? The wheels start turning. Can you imagine if Deegan wins the championship?
Yeah,
in his rookie year.
Well, so I kind of had it on when I was doing stuff around the house.
Yeah,
and so then I came in and saw that had happened, and I was like, I rewind, and I went back and watched it, and I was like, oh man,
first turns.
Yeah, that's not good to see. But then to hear that, to honestly, as a fan perspective, to hear that he's going to be okay now, he's going to be back, and that he might be a little battered, but he's still going to race.
Yeah,
I think it kind of just makes the series a little more exciting. So I hate to see somebody like that have an issue, but when the end result is now we have a tight championship, I'm not that mad at it.
No, I definitely want a tight championship, but I feel like Hunter's going to come back. Maybe he's a little sore this week. Probably still gets on the podium.
Southwick, but it's Southwick.
Yeah, so I don't know that I think his points lead is just going to keep growing. I don't know that it's going to get tightened up very much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be great. I would not want to go to Southwick with a hurt wrist. That sounds. I don't even want to race Southwick.
I don't think I would either. I'm going to watch it for the first time, but yeah, I don't. Well, I'd like to ride it, but I wouldn't want to really.
I don't think I would.
Well, I'd like to just take some laps to say I did it.
Yeah, it's like you don't go out there and just cruise around some laps. You go out there and you have to hit it wide open.
I might be okay right now. I don't know. I might be okay there.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, true.
I'd like to give it a shot. Yeah, A-Ray calling it quits. Did you hear about that? He decided he's done. Alex Ray's.
Yeah, he was like, I'm over this.
Oh, yeah, because you listened to Pulp, and he called in, didn't he?
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far
okay,
yet, but I heard that he was out.
I'm bummed, man. I guess he's still going to be at the races because he's going to work for O'Neill and be the gear guy, I think.
Okay.
I think he's going to be at the races. I don't know for sure, but he's going to work for O'Neill. But I'm bummed, man. A-Ray's one of the first pro riders that I actually kind of built a friendship relationship with. And I hate to think of him not being out there. And, yeah, some of it's for the fun of watching him be sketchy.
Yeah.
But yeah, his mental state, you could just tell he's just like, I can't do it anymore. He is past it.
Yeah. I think him as a brand ambassador, especially for, somebody he's been faithful to like O'Neill for so long, I think that's where he needs to be at this point in time,
Yeah.
It's got to be tough. This year has been kind of the year of the privateer. And then I've noticed that, he's still, even with that, has been struggling to get in the top 20, top 15. And it's just like how much, when, he's a guy that's supposed to be, like you would say that with the way the series has gone this year, that A-Ray should be one of those guys in like 10th, 11th, 12th.
It was just 4 or 5 years ago. He was on Factory Yamaha.
Yeah, exactly. So
18, I think. I think it was when he was, I think it was 18. He was on Factory Yamaha. But, his wrist is never going to be right again.
Yeah.
And then he mentions when he calls into Pulp that, like, he's scared of getting hurt. And he's told us that on the show. And he's talked about that over the last year or so. Like, that's in his head. And I think most of these guys will tell you, we've heard it time and time again, once that gets in your head, you're done.
Yeah.
If you're not
At
willing
that
to
level,
go full send and push, and it sounds like he's finally realized that's,
I would like to see him, stay in the sport, work for O'Neill, something like that. And then, I think it'd be fun to let him get a break from this stuff and then start doing some start doing some two-stroke nationals and some.
Oh yeah, he'll still race.
And some like vet stuff like that. Maybe try to do like a Loretta's thing, like plus 25. I think that's where I think he's settling down and having a family now. I like A-Ray too. You introduced me to him, and he was like super chill and like
he's great,
great guy. So I hope for the best for him.
He's leaving. Sounds like, per rumors, nothing concrete, nothing released, but it sounds like Eli might be sticking around, might be re-signing. I would say I'm a little surprised. I kind of thought that Eli might be done, but it sounds like he is not. What are your thoughts?
I wasn't going to be surprised either way.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess I'm not like blown away, but I'm more
like I wasn't going to. Yeah, I was so torn on it because he's either like, no, he's done, or it was like, yeah, I'm not okay with going out like that, so I'm going to come back. So, what's going to be more interesting to me, not just the fact that him coming back, but it's going to be him and Cooper Webb on the same team. That's
and that hasn't been officially released either. But yes, that's
where my that
sounds like those two guys would be there. Which I mean, you say you're kind of interested, and I think some people have said, "Oh, I can't imagine that." I've heard people say like that doesn't make sense. But then I mean, Dylan Ferrandis and Eli on the same team, they don't really talk. They're just kind of Eli keeps to himself.
But I mean, Cooper and Eli they've kind of been the two guys that go at each other for a long time.
But
so.
I don't know. Like on race day, they probably won't even hardly see each other. And Eli practices most of the time at home in Colorado, so like they're not. It's almost going to be no different.
Yeah. You're probably right. Yeah,
it won't be that much different. There will be times when they'll be at the goat farm and together when they have to be, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be a big deal either way.
Yeah,
I really don't. I'm a little weirded out that Cooper's didn't race this weekend. It sounds like he's probably not going to be at Southwick, and I just like kind of wonder
what's that all about.
There's a lot of theories. I don't know, if I'm being honest. I don't know.
Well, what's your favorite theory?
I hope he's dinged up, like he said. Well, I hate saying that. Like I hope it's not just he's just said screw it, I'm done. He has to be a little bit dinged up. That's in my mind. He must be. But then there's other people that think, well, he's not being competitive, and a lot of these guys' egos won't allow them to go out and race knowing they cannot be competitive.
Yeah,
I hope that's not the truth.
Now that you mentioned that, unfortunately I can see a situation where Cooper was like, yeah, I'm not going to just keep going out there and getting waxed by Jet. Like I'm just not going to do that to my brand and to my name. Like
we'll get better. Like, well, I mean, what I'm saying, like, I know it's not just
ride better.
You just can't do that. And maybe Cooper Webb and Adam Cianciarulo can never be as good as Jet at this point. Maybe that's the case, but that's what you're there to do, right? You're there to compete. So why would you, I don't know, like get better, do your best. Don't quit. I find it very difficult to believe that Cooper just bailed because he's not being competitive with Jet. I'm not willing to accept that.
Yeah. I mean, I can see both sides of it.
Another topic of discussion this week, we'll get to emails here in a second and get Austin Forkner on in just a second, but Justin Cooper, this has kind of been going on for a while. We kind of knew this, but it's been talked about a lot this week. It's re-signed basically the same deal. Nationals only, no Supercross, maybe a couple 450 Supercrosses here and there, but that's it. I don't like that deal either. I don't know that Justin loves that deal, but I don't think he has a 450 option, and staying 250, trying to get outdoor championship next year, bonuses, all that stuff. That's probably the best financial deal for him, but I don't like the fact that he's not racing Supercross.
Yeah, they're doing that again.
That's what I was told. Again, not sure it's 100% official, but it's definitely a rumor.
Yeah, that's very interesting to me. If they're going to do that, then he needs to do more 450 Supercrosses.
But I don't think that was completely up to him either. I don't think that's his choice.
Well, now that Hunter had the incident, I mean, his goal was to win the championship this year. Let's say something happens and Hunter can't come back, or he's not 100% this weekend. Is he completely? I mean, he's not completely out of the points. He's only like 20, 25 down now.
I don't have. Let me see if I have the points in front of me.
30 down, maybe.
I mean, Deegan's fairly far ahead.
He only missed one race.
Let's see, points right here. So Hunter's at 200, Hayden's 189, RJ's, Justin's 152. So he's 48 points down.
Okay, well,
So right now Hayden is
it's pretty much just Hunter and
like
Hayden.
11 points down. Then RJ's second or third with 167. So yeah, really, Justin's pretty much done. That's almost not impossible, but almost impossible. So the championship's gone.
But would he go somewhere else to alleviate that situation?
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's not a lot of options right now.
Yeah.
Because guys have already pretty well made agreements and, kind of have an idea of where everybody's going. And we were talking about Star, right? If Eli has re-signed, he's on a 450, and we're assuming Cooper's going there on a 450, and Dylan is technically still under contract for another year, I believe, on a 450, which it sounds like he wants out one way or another. But what if he changes his mind? He sticks around. Does that mean that then they have 3 450s? And if Justin's supposed to do a couple Supercrosses on a 450, are they gonna have 4? Like
Honda used to do it back in the day.
Yeah.
Let's run it old school.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. But I think all the answers will be coming out in the next few months, and we'll know more. Just silly season questions and interesting topics. If I'm Justin Cooper, I don't want to miss another full season of Supercross. Like what do you do then when you go 450 and you haven't rode really a whole lot of Supercross in 2 years? Maybe it doesn't make much difference, but I think it does. I think you need to be getting those gate drops.
Yeah, I mean, and he did good in the ones that he came for. So
even like with the plan for not racing Supercross this year was to focus on outdoors. Well, that didn't really work that well. Maybe getting the gate drops is better, even though it's not the same discipline. Gate drops are very important. Let's see here. Let's start the Motul emails. Founded in 1853, Motul is a 170-year-old company that is present in over 160 countries globally. And our go-to cleaning product, Shine and Go, their Motul Shine and Go product is one of our go-tos. I use it on the Husky. I use it on all my bikes, really. It smells good, shines all the plastic up. I use it on the hubs. Just clean that bike up to go back to California. Give you a ride at Shineback. The Motul E10 Shine and Go spray is our go-to detailer for all of our bikes. Motul E10 Shine and Go spray cleans and restores plastic to like new condition while leaving a protective film that repels dirt and grime, and it smells like citrus, which is almost as cool as your garage smelling like race gas. Shop Motul.com. Vital20 is the code to save 20% off of your order of $50 or more. If you're going to order some stuff, you got to at least spend $50. Get some oil, get some Shine and Go. Motul. I'm looking for these emails right quick before we get Austin on. Here we go. So a lot of these emails they're not not really race related, but I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's an insult you've received that you're proud of?
Insult that I'm proud of?
Yeah. Have you ever been insulted and like, yeah, heck yeah. I can't really think of one.
Yeah.
You know what? I just thought of one. I say it all the time. Too nice.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take that one.
I've had that one before.
Oh, okay. Copycat.
Well,
that was a weird question.
That is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like being insulted for like being smart or right.
Nerd.
Yeah, like, you know that you nerd. Like, okay,
I got that in high school a few times.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm educated.
I was really good at algebra. So my football player buddies were like, what a nerd.
Yeah, they'll be like, you used a really big word there. I'm like, sorry for being educated, you know.
So yeah, we got a couple minutes left. So let's do this last one here for the Motul email segment. If you had to lose one of your senses, which sense would it be and why?
I would probably smell.
Yeah, that's mine too. I think of all the others, like I definitely don't want to lose my vision.
Yeah, vision. I did props to blind people. I don't know how they do it, man.
Like vision, hearing, and taste, like there's just no way, because obviously see for everything. That seems the most obvious.
Well,
I love music, so vision and
if
taste.
If your hearing goes, then your voice goes too. Eventually.
Yeah. Okay.
You can keep it for a couple of years, but that's why deaf people usually they have like it's hard to understand them.
Yeah.
Because you can't hear yourself, and
that makes sense.
So it goes away over time.
Okay, never really thought about that, but that makes sense.
So,
I still think that would be my second choice. Would be hearing,
yeah.
No, or not hearing, but or actually, touch might be my second choice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, because like I'm thinking, okay, like right now touching the table, no big deal. But if I go riding, can I still hold on to the bike, or am I if I have no touch sense, does that mean I don't know that I'm holding on properly?
Hey, well, Ashley Folick was deaf, and she was one of the fastest.
Oh, she rips.
Yeah, she would smoke us all day long.
Yeah, that's a crazy question, and I don't.
But I think the easiest one on that is smell. Like, half of people after COVID don't have smell anyways anymore. So
yeah,
I did though. Like when I did have COVID and you lose your smell and you can't really taste your food. Like, man, it's pretty rough tasting food. You just end up like TJ, where you just eat for sustenance, and not actual taste. Yeah.
I'd be pretty bummed if I couldn't taste a steak.
Yeah.
As of late, with this new diet, thanks to Troll Train, I'm kind of like, maybe I don't want to taste some of the crap I'm eating.
Give me a sprout shake.
Yeah, right. Our next guest is on the line. He's going to be brought to you by Guts Racing. Andy Gregg and the Guts Racing crew have been providing the best seats and foam in the industry for years. For 2023, they've added Kawasaki to their complete seat lineup, as well as the color teal to the gripper material options available. And also new for 2023 are options for your e-bikes. They have complete seats for Talaria and Super 73 and covers for the Segway and Sur-Ron. And they have options for the Honda, KTM, and Husqvarna electric bikes. So visit gutsracing.com. Tonight, Guts Racing brings us from Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki, our friend Austin Forkner. What's up, Austin?
What's up? How's it going?
It's good, man. How you doing? How you feeling?
Good, solid. Everything as far as my knees pretty much good to go now. I've been back on the bike, so I'm kind of just waiting for the all clear from Mitch or from Rhino, or kind of a joint decision. I feel like more so it's mostly Mitch, but on when I can return to racing.
How long have you been back on the bike? It feels like it's been a few weeks.
I think it's been 2 months.
Oh wow, that long. Okay. Yeah. So you're
so
you're feeling close to 100%?
Actually, I don't think it's been exactly 2 months. I think I was back on the bike the 19th of May or something like that, mid to later May. So I think it's been like a month and 3 weeks, month and a half, something like that. So, but yeah, I'm definitely getting there. Like what I keep telling people is like, I'm not going to come back from a 4.5 month injury. And that's quick for an ACL. So 4.5 months from an ACL. And essentially I've only raced a heat race since Paula round 1 last year.
Right.
I'm not going to come back from that and just be like, cause Mitch's deal is usually like, he wants me to come back and, be able to win. Like, I want you to come back and be able to win. And I'm like, dude, that's very, very high expectations for me to be able to just come. Like, I'm just going to have to race my way into shape. That's just basically how it's going to have to work. Like, anytime you jump in to a outdoor season, anytime you jump into either season, but especially outdoor, because that's, a lot more fitness wise and stuff. Anytime you jump into a season halfway, you got to race your way into shape anyway, whether it's the pace, whether it's the fitness side, whether it's the race day jitters and just the vibes of race day, whatever. You got to figure all that stuff out. It's been over a year and I've done a heat race in Anaheim. That's it. So, I just need to be out there. I can practice all I want, but I've practiced a lot in the past few years and I need to race more. So whether I'm a 10th place guy, a 5th place guy, a 3rd place guy, a 1st place guy, I just need to be on the track,
Yeah, you need some gate drops and you need to feel some intensity of the enemy surrounding you, basically. Like, yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Well, speaking of being back on the bike, though, where you talked about working with Rhino, that is new for you a little bit this year. You've been with Robbie Raynard for pretty much your whole career. Yeah, with Robbie Raynard, I think, on the bike, and Michael Lindsay said you're with Charles Dow off the bike stuff. How is the new program? Do you like it? What's different?
Yeah, I like Robbie. I basically just needed somebody to work with me hands-on, basically, and he's in Oklahoma. He's got 3 kids now. He's got his facility out there. He can't be out here as much as I need, basically. Mm-hmm. So I've been kind of low key, just keeping an eye out for somebody for a while. I'm going to be honest, Rhino was not really on my radar. I didn't know if he, just really trains like a lot of people in the first place, which I mean, I know now he doesn't, but like, I didn't really know kind of what he really wasn't on my radar. And then I went to Paula this year for the first round for the first motos, and he was in the Fox Tower, and we started talking and just kind of had a good conversation. And he was like, "Hey, you want to come out to a turn track, to Viney's turn track, and just see how things go for a day?" I was like, "Why not? Yeah, why not?" I mean, right now I'm kind of Mitch has really been pushing me to find somebody out here anyway, because now I'm pretty semi-permanently, if not permanently, out here now. So he's been pushing me to find somebody anyway. Went to the turn track. Rhino was not what I was expecting, like in a good way. Definitely like not what I was. I didn't really, I try to hold, judgment based off of, you don't know somebody until you meet them. And obviously everybody on the internet has an opinion on Rhino.
Oh yeah.
But I had never really talked to Rhino that much. And I didn't feel as strongly as, some of the other people about Rhino. I was just like, hey, let's see. And it ended up being a really good day. And he showed me some things on the bike that I was really happy with. He was a really cool dude. We got along really well. We went to the track again the next day onto a real track, because it was just like a 30-second turn track, if that. And I was like, I want to see how the stuff that we worked on, how it translates to a real track. Riley came out, Charles came out. Everybody got along really well. And, he had a little conversation with Mitch, I think, and that was pretty much it. It was good. I don't even know if he did have a conversation with Mitch. I had a conversation with Mitch, and he was cool with it. And yeah, so I just started working the Rhino. And since then it's been really good. We've just been working on some technique stuff, and he's a good energy at the track. Like he's super, motivated. He's super, he's like, thanks me every day for my effort, which nobody's ever thanked me for that before. Like, nobody's ever thanked me for putting in my effort, and for even if he can tell some of the stuff that he has me do is super uncomfortable, and like, I don't like it, but I don't get off the track. I don't complain about it. I just say, yeah, that was tough. But he appreciates that. He's like, look, I appreciate you having an open mind, you be willing to try stuff, and I appreciate that effort, which I really haven't been told before. So that was yeah, we get along really well. So
good.
Yeah, I mean, everything's I like I said, I don't know obviously where I'll fit in whenever I come back to racing this year, but as far as like the a program set up, I think it's solid for on the bike training riding coach. I think he's good.
Cool.
Yeah, Austin, that was kind of my, one of the things I wanted to talk about was
Scotty's sick, by the way.
Yeah,
so.
I lost my voice. Sorry.
No worries.
With Rhino, he's out there in a lot of things, but every time I've heard him, whether it's an Instagram post or show or anything that he's done, I always find like a little bit of that grain of truth to everything. Are you kind of like, are you openly taking like everything he says, or are you just kind of trying to find how to like balance it with what you're capable of doing?
Yeah, well, he knows what I'm capable of doing too. Like he says every day, he's like, dude, look, like I know you have speed. I know you can ride a dirt bike fast, but we need you there every race. I mean, that's what Mitch told me. That's what he told me. That's what I know that stuff. I mean, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear what I've been lacking on over the past few years.
Right.
It's usually not speed. It's usually, it's just me getting hurt. So, he kind of knows that. We're all kind of on the same page of that. And that's really what he wanted to work on from the start, like he was just telling me a couple things in the Fox Tower at Paula that he thought might help. And he didn't even really mention training. He didn't mention training with me at all. He was just saying, hey man, I think you should really try this. I think it could help you. And I was like, well, I'm kind of low key looking for a trainer. at least out here. And he was like, oh, well, if that's the case, then do you want to come out and see, you know? He was like, I don't work with people that I don't want to work with. I only work with people that I want to. And I want to work with you. I think, like, after that conversation we had, he said that he's seen interviews with me and he thinks that we would get along good. And yeah, we have. And he said that he wanted to work with me, and that's kind of just how it kind of happened. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they I don't know. People hate me for various reasons. People hate on everything for various reasons. So that's what I don't really care. Like, I knew some people were going to say, oh, you're working with Rhino. Wow. Good move. When you thought, you know, I thought you're trying to actually make your riding better, you know, blah, 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 whatever. I've seen the comments, I've seen the DMs, whatever. Like, I don't care, but like, I get along with Rhino good, and he's not like everybody thinks. I can promise you that he's not like everybody thinks. And he's super cool dude. So yeah, I mean, he's I mean, pretty much strictly my riding coach. I still use Charles for off the bike, basically gym, and then like cardio. He designs my everything other than on the bike basically is Charles. But they know each other. They go back a while. So you know, and they're both super cool with each other. And so I feel like the program, as far as like how it's set up and how it's designed, is pretty solid right now. If you know Charles, he's super into you know, more mobility type training than just straight up just running yourself into the ground day after day after day. He's more into like actually being smart with your training. So I feel like between him and Rhino is obviously more so into the technical side of riding and being smart with your riding and your style and everything like that. I feel like, at least from maybe, and I'm not saying every time I've crashed it's been, you know, a technique problem or whatever, but I mean, I'm just speaking from as far as how my program is set up right now. I think it might be one of the best things for me, you know, as far as just trying to be at every race, trying to prolong and be safer, more, you know, flexible, more. So I bend instead of break, or, you know, whatever, stuff like that. So that's, I feel like in that way, my between the two guys is pretty solid. So.
With the on the bike stuff with Rhino versus Reynard, what's different in your day-to-day program? Are there very many significant things? Like, do you do different drills? Is there anything that just stands out?
Yeah. Rhino is definitely, I mean, we're starting to work into speed right now. We started off the first couple of weeks literally not caring about speed and not caring about anything. I mean, they're almost like not polar opposites, but Rhino is super, super like verbal and vocal. And every lap that I come around, he's always pointing at his feet, pointing at his chest, pointing at his elbows, you know, doing something. He tells me all the time, he's like, even if you're doing everything perfect, I'm still gonna be, you know, giving you something to think about whenever you come by every lap. He's like, that's just what I do. So even if I tell you, oh, elbows, it doesn't mean your elbows are bad. Maybe they are, but it doesn't mean you could be doing everything perfect. I'm still gonna be telling you to do stuff and being, you know, he's going to be doing stuff, pointing at stuff every lap that I come off the track. And when I do, then whenever I come off the track, he always has something to talk about, something to say, something to, where Robbie is more calm, cool, collected type thing. Not that like either training side, either can have their benefits. And there's nothing wrong with Robbie's training. I think that Rhino just has a little bit of a different way of going about it. Kind of for the same end result, like the things that I'm working on with Rhino are things that I've worked on with Robbie as well. It's just a little bit of a different way. And to do that, you know, we definitely had to slow down the speed a little bit to try to work on those things. And then now we're trying to build the speed back up a little bit, but it's kind of, whenever you're trying to beat old habits out and bring new things in, it's super hard to do that at speed. So that's what I'm having to slow down a little bit right now. And like that's why we've been kind of avoiding people at tracks, going and doing our own thing over the past few weeks. Now we're pretty much back on the same schedule as everybody else, but just because I know that whenever, you know, somebody fast gets in behind me, I'm not just going to let them around. And if I got to drop my technique a little bit to keep them in front, or to keep, you know, to run that pace, I'm probably going to do it. So we were trying to, you know, be smart about it and try to focus on the things that we needed to focus on. And that's what he tells me every day too. He's like, look, I don't care who's here at the track. I'm only worried about you. You only worry about you right now. And if somebody comes up on you and they pass you, I don't care. Like it's not about that right now. Like he's not not worried about the speed, because he knows that I can produce the speed, but it's the, you know, longevity, I guess, of it, or you know, being there round after round, I guess that's been my Achilles heel over the past few years. So I guess just a little bit of a different way of going about it. And, you know, he's definitely more vocal and likes to talk a lot more than Robbie does. Robbie's pretty calm and cool and doesn't really say a whole lot.
Yeah, he's quiet.
Quiet. But I mean, like, that's what I've been used to with Robbie. Like, that's what I've been used to with Robbie over the past few years. So Rhino is kind of a shock to the system in that way. Like every time I come off the track, he always is talking and telling me things that I can do better, that I really did good, or lots of compliments, but also lots of things that I can do better. Where Robbie, I'm like, dude, I felt super good. How'd I look? Yeah, you look good. I'm like, oh, sick. Like, sweet. Like, hey, like I know that Rob, but I just know how Robbie is, and that's just how he is. So
sure.
You know, just same, but both had the same, you know, end goal. But I think with Rhino, what has been kind of the priority is that we've really had to slow down to try to get fix a couple of the technique things, to then start incorporating the speed back into it. Because you can't, obviously it's super hard to fit. You basically can't fix technique things while trying to go fast. You can only think about, you know, Rhino keeps saying you can only think about one thing at once. You can't think about more than one thing at one time. So, you know, go out, focus on one thing, do that one thing the best you can until you don't have to think about that one thing anymore, and then go on to the next, you know, kind of like that. So once it becomes muscle memory or habit, you don't have to think about it anymore. Well, then you can think about something else, because you don't have to think about that one thing anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, Austin, I'm really glad to see that you took that path of, instead of trying to get back out to the races as fast as you can, you changed your trainer, and I saw that video of you and Rhino where you were like doing one arm, then the little figure eight, and then you were doing one leg, and then like back to the basics and start from the bottom and build it back up. To see that kind of change, and to see how humble you've been through this whole thing is really cool to see, and I'm excited to see the end result of this.
Yeah, me too. I definitely have learned a different mindset, and that's what I really like about Rhino too. Is he's every day when we start the day, he's like, "Hey, worry about you. You're the only person on the track, and by the way, dude, have fun. Yeah. You're getting to come out and ride your dirt bike today." And like every day, he kind of starts every day like that, like, hey, let's have fun. Like, and Robbie said that too. And that's where they both are in common in those ways, is like where I feel like a lot of trainers and a lot of people don't have that mindset nowadays. It's like, hey, let's have some fun. Like, if you just hate your life every single day, and I know everybody says, oh, you know, suffer now, you know, hate this now, so that later in life you don't have to worry about anything. You're set money-wise or whatever. Like, no, I don't. Who's to say I'm even gonna make it to later in life? You know, there's so many things like that. Like, you know, like, I want to enjoy. I'm 24. I'm in the prime time of like my life right now, essentially. Why do I want to hate every single day of it? I completely do not understand people that have that mentality. And I'm like, yeah, I know at the 25-minute mark of 30s when it's 100 degrees out. Yeah, that's not going to be, you know, a super fun time. But like, there has to be a better way of doing it to where you can still enjoy, you know, the majority of the stuff that you're doing, and not just hate every day at the track, which I know that a lot of guys do. So I've kind of changed my mindset in that way. Or I've kind of not really changed it, I guess, just kind of maybe figured it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like, hey man, why am I look, I've had all these injuries, like I've had all this just, negative things happen, bad things happen to me. I've all these things I've worked for a championship. I've blown like one, if not maybe two championships at this point because I've gotten hurt. Blown, lots of money, lots of chances to do well. And like what in the sport, as far like I've kind of experienced, I've destroyed my body. Basically, I've kind of experienced some of the low points of, the things that when you're, younger before you go pro, hey, what do I not want to do? I don't want to get hurt a bunch. I don't want to, blow a championship or do something like that. That would suck really bad. Well, guess what? I've done two now, both of those at the same time.
Yeah.
I've blown championships and also destroyed my body in the same instant. So like, it's like, you just got to enjoy it, man. Like
Yep.
you got to try to keep some fun in it where you can. And that's kind of what I've learned. And that's kind of what I try to do. And not every day is like that. Some days I don't have that mindset, but overall, I feel like I try to have that mindset. Charles is really positive and really good at that. And now Rhino also is pretty similar in that way. He's always trying to remind me to have fun. And, I don't have to go ride. I get to go ride type of thing.
That's it. Yeah.
That's just, that it's just trying to have that mindset when it's tough sometimes. And definitely it's tough sometimes, but trying to have that, enjoy your life type of mindset. Enjoy it first.
Yeah,
if you're not enjoying it, what are we doing this for?
Yeah.
What am I doing this for?
You don't want to look
if
back
I'm
and
not
regret
enjoying
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. So it's like, yeah, I get paid good money, but I destroy my body. I tear the thing up all the time. And like, it's just, why put myself through this if I'm not getting some sort of enjoyment out of it? So that's kind of what I've kind of just learned over the past few years, and really, really just from injuries and from all the stuff, that I've dealt with. That's kind of what I've learned. So, yeah, I guess that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
I don't, maybe not a positive thing in order to get to that mindset, but I guess a positive mindset in the end.
Yeah, life will humble you one way or another, and it's funny. Yeah. It's funny to hear you say that you get to ride, not have to ride. I joke with Darkside a lot. He's like, man, I have to go do this interview with so and so, and I have to go ride this bike for his test. I'm like, no, you get to do those things. Like,
yeah. It is hard to remind yourself of that sometimes, especially like one of my friends came and visited this week, and he was like, saw the motos and the hot weather and all the other things that we did. I made him kind of just come along with me and just do with me, the hot yoga, the workouts, all the stuff that we do. And he was like, dude, like everybody says being a pro rider is fun, but like, it kind of sucks. Like some of this stuff is gnarly. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like it is hard and not every day is fun. But at the end of the day, I'm doing stuff that I dreamed of as a kid, that a lot of other kids dream of. And dude, I had this dude come up to me at the track the other day, and this is really like, it was a big deal. It almost made me tear up like midday. I was just doing my motos at Paris last week, and this kid came up, and one of the videos I posted on my story of just me talking, I think it was that one that I was talking about, that little kid that sent me a message whenever I tore my ACL, and I talked about how that made an impact on me. So just people helping people type of thing. Like I had an impact on him when he tore his ACL, but he said he knew that if I could get through it, then he could too, type of thing. And I just talked about that. And this dude, he was probably, I don't know, 17, 18, came up and was like, hey man, you posted that video, and you said that you gave your whole, I talked for a couple of minutes, but you said, if I could help this kid, or, I'm putting this video out there, so maybe it can help somebody get through this, or something that they're struggling with, and people can help people. This kid didn't think he could help me, but he did, where I maybe didn't think I could help him, but I did. And he was like, dude, you helped me. You helped me a lot. I tore he broke his, I don't know, T456 or something in his back. And he was like, I was 8 months off the bike. I didn't have the motivation to get back on. Whenever I did get released, it was just a pretty tough, it was a tough deal. And I was like, and he just came and was like, dude, you really helped me through that. Like that was, you make like a number of things, but he was like, that post you actually helped me with. And I was like, damn.
Yeah,
like I was like,
good.
wow, that's I mean, to be honest, that was almost more special to me than any race win or championship could do, because that was a real deal thing on somebody else's life, you know, having an impact on somebody else's life. That was a it's pretty heavy deal. Like I definitely did. I thought he was coming over. Hey man, can I have a picture? Hey, do you have a jersey?
Yeah,
You know,
jersey.
like the typical thing.
Sure.
And he just laid this like heavy ass like thing on me that I was like, wow, like that is awesome. Like that's awesome. And I was just like, dude,
So cool.
I'm proud of you for. I told him that he left, and then I was kind of in shock. I kind of really didn't know. I was like, well, thank you. I kind of didn't really say much. And I rode over to his pit later, and I was like, hey man, I just wanted to tell you that I'm proud of you, because people don't, you don't get, like, he was telling me how it's tough to get back on the bike and get through injuries and all that stuff. Like it's not easy, especially some of the long-term ones and the hard ones. And I was like, man, I'm proud of you for getting just getting back on the bike. Nobody tells you that. Nobody tells you, hey man, I'm proud of you for getting back on the bike, for fighting through all the demons and the mental side, the physical side, the rehab, all that stuff. I'm proud of you for just getting back on the bike. Nobody ever says that.
Sure.
They say, hey, I'm proud of you for what you accomplish after you get back on the bike. So I was like, man, I know, because I've been there, and I know like that it would be nice if somebody would say, hey man, I'm proud of you for just even going through the rehab time after time, injury after injury, and coming back every time. I'm proud of you for that. So I told him that, and I was like, and he sent me a message later that day, and he was like, man, you really made my day. Like that was cool. A great, like, yeah. So that was just, I mean, I'm just, I'm learning that side of things.
Yeah, man.
Like that side that honestly, that's what I think all the time. I'm like, man, if I could change like my life and things that I thought were going to happen, my plans, whenever I was coming out as the top amateur that kind of won everything and was expected to do all this stuff. And then now we're kind of, my life is now, but I'm still doing stuff that are like having an impact on somebody's life in a way like that. Like I said, is probably a bigger way than winning a championship would ever have on somebody's life.
Of
course.
Know,
like that's the real things that I didn't really expect. But I'm I guess grateful for those things, because I didn't, you know, I don't know. I didn't expect those things. Yeah. And it's really like a heartwarming type of thing whenever somebody tells you that. Like I did not expect him to come over and talk to me about that midday. Like it was hot. I was suffering doing my motos, whatever. And he just comes in. I'm like, dang, dude, like that makes me feel good. You know,
it makes
like
it all worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. Even because everybody puts so much stress on winning races, winning championships, winning this, winning that. But you know, like that is also something really cool that I feel like people don't talk about. So that's I just figured I'd share that, because that was the cool thing. That was a pretty cool deal that happened to me last week. I was pretty you know, that it was just a really heartfelt thing that day. So
one more question for you, non-moto related. What are you listening to? What music are you into right now? What's got you fired up to get back to racing?
Well, NF dropped his new album a few months ago, and that was super sick. I really like NF. As far as like motivating music and stuff, that's pretty, his stuff's deep too. Like you got to listen to the lyrics to get it. His is good. I'm looking at some of my most recently downloaded songs right now. Yeah. I mean, I'm always doing some sort of like punk rock or just standard rock. Anytime Metallica pops on, AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, or then even more punk stuff like Green Day or My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
Sleeping with Sirens. I know the guys in that band. We went to their concert not that long ago. Those guys are awesome. I love their stuff. So that's
cool.
It's always rock stuff.
Rock,
the punk rock stuff, that's always there. I feel like everything nowadays is so hip hop, so this, that, electronic type music. I pretty much stick to the rock type of music. That's always my go-to.
We're here for that.
Austin knows that's what I'm into. So that's why I asked. Yeah.
You knew the answer. Before I said it.
I kind of did. Yeah. Awesome, dude. Great talking to you. Really great time getting to hear these stories from you, and can't wait to see you back on the bike, man. But thanks for your time.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. Always enjoy talking to you guys. So have a good one.
You too, buddy. Take care.
Yeah, right, you too.
Austin Forkner tonight, brought to you by Guts Racing. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's the second story similar to that he's talked to me about. That's like an inspirational story for him. That's good that he's getting that. I like that.
You know, a lot of people go their whole lives without having that kind of moment where they can realize, you know, the bigger picture, and it's not about them, it's about this other stuff. And the fact that, you know, and it's really hard for motocross riders to get to that point because our sport is such a selfish sport. You have to be so focused on what you're doing, and everybody around you has to be focused on what you're doing. And so to see him have that kind of that epiphany in life, and to be there where he's seeing that vision, it's cool to see, and especially, you know, he's only 24 years old, so I'm looking for good things to come from that.
MotoXpodshow@gmail.com. That is our email if you want to get in on some of the emails that we did earlier, or the Pro X highs and lows that we're going to do in just a few moments, the 60 picks for the next national or Supercross, whatever's coming up, those things. MotoXpodshow@gmail.com. We definitely want to hear from you. I really like getting these emails from guys, so send them out, please. Also, don't forget we have a fantasy league on Pulp MX's Pulp Fantasy, and we recently got the winner from Supercross a prize. So, I have not looked at the results in a while because I'm terrible, but I don't know who's leading right now. But play, man. Jump on there with us. It's a lot of fun. A couple more segments. The X-Brand Forum check-in. X-Brand has quietly grown into one of the premier goggle choices available, used in some of the most grueling conditions in the GNCC series. Also, Supercross. Hunter Lawrence is wearing them on with his Alpine Star straps, winning races. What are you laughing at?
Someone said, I vote Scotty to sing the national anthem at Southwick.
Oh, yeah. X-Brand goggles, though, crushing it. Visit your local dealership. Ask for X-Brand, distributed through WPS. Or if you're local to me, you can hit me up, jguida@vitalmx.com. And I also am a distributor for X-Brand here locally in Texas. But I thought you were laughing again. So the X-Brand Forum check-in, this was one that kind of stood out. It was a topic that says podcasters. RC Martin 406 put it up. And he said, these podcaster hosts really make it hard sometimes listening to their stuff. After listening to the Kevin Windham interview where the host kept interrupting, not letting Windham finish his thoughts or story is aggravating. I'm not sure what show that was. I haven't heard that one, but he mentions a couple other people, some shows directly that has problems. But he says, hey, so-and-so's questions are, I don't want to call these people out. You can go find it. Questions are like 2 paragraphs long, and they run on sentences, and he says, let some of the guys to interrupt, let the guest, or not the guest, I guess the guest finish their questions. He's talking about Gypsy Tales, but I didn't really want to, but anyway.
Okay.
Somebody jumped on there, so I have to agree. I had to stop listening to Gypsy Tales, which I like Gypsy Tales.
Yeah. He gets good stuff. I like seeing I don't really watch his full shows, but I follow him on Instagram, and I like
the reels or whatever.
Yeah, I like his reels. Yeah.
Somebody says nothing worse than listen to a guest telling a great story and the host will interrupt. It goes on and on. But so I wanted to, first of all, I'd like to get our listener responses with our email, motoxpodshow@gmail.com. And what do you guys want to hear? What do you like in a podcast? What would you like to see differently? What can we work on? That's one of the reasons I keep getting the emails out, is I'd like to get the constructive criticism. But just you, what do you think? You listen to podcasts, you listen to Pulp, and I don't know what else you listen to. What are your thoughts? What makes a good podcast?
Yeah, see, I try to make it, it's hard to balance making a question and then, in a conversation at the same time. I sometimes I might be guilty of having too long of questions as well. And, stuff that we've talked about off air, we try to work on. And on this show, we're definitely very conscious about those things. And we try to make sure that, we're not doing too much. But I personally think that a podcast should be a little bit of that. It's trying to find the balance of not trying to run on too long and, bounce back and forth too much. But it is nice to have a conversation. I don't think it should just be a blank question and then answer, because then that's a magazine article. And I know you and I have had this conversation as well. What I'm trying to work on is finding a balance where I'm asking a direct question, but I'm also, giving a little bit of a story too, but trying to make that concise. And I think that's what people really want. And I think a lot of good shows will have, it's we try to keep it light. And I've tried to throw in little, like you'll be talking with one of the guests, and like just now with Austin, I was like, well, I get on the dark side about you get to do this and not have to do this.
Yeah.
I think balancing stuff like that in there is a real key to being a good show.
I think the point in this, or the point that was made in this forum mentioned, was when the guest is answering, don't interrupt. I do remember, well, again, I'm not gonna blow anybody out. There has been a couple podcasts where the guest rarely got to finish their answer because the host or one of the hosts would start talking, and you'd be like, well, wait a minute. I was waiting for that answer to be finished. And that would frustrate me. So that's something that kind of bothers me. But yeah, it's interesting. I guess everybody wants something different, like the long form, like Jace at Gypsy Tales does 3-hour interviews with one person. Whiskey Throttle does the same thing. And then Steve does a 5.5-hour show with multiple guests. And, we do a 2.5-hour show, multiple guests, try to do a little bit of most of our emails are not even moto related, which I'm sure there's people that listen that maybe that they get annoyed by that because it's not, they want to hear the motocross stuff, as Gringo used to say. Yeah. But then I think it's kind of cool that, again, like with Steve, his Pulp Show kind of goes back to the Howard Stern format of we're a family. We're our listeners are like the whack packers. You become part of the show. You get to know the listeners and all the idiosyncrasies of the show. And I kind of would like our show to be like that to some degree, where when we're not talking to a guest, there is the shooting the shit and the busting the balls, and it doesn't always have to be moto related. We're just having fun. We're hanging out with our buddies talking about motocross. Yeah. So interesting. I wonder what people think. I hope we get some responses. I do have let me pull this email up because I did. Shane Bagley, who responds usually almost every week, he sent an email, MotoXpod@gmail.com, and has a couple of different things. He has his highs and lows. He has the 6Ds picks. And he said he's stoked for the show tonight. Thank you, Shane. And he has a question. This will go back to something we talked about a little while ago, I guess. It's a topic. It's sort of off topic now. I've been seeing the posts on Twitter about Eli signing a 2-year deal with Star. I know it's rumors, but as an Eli fan, I'm here for it. Stoked. Beast Mode Redemption Tour 2024. I'm calling it. What are your thoughts? Well, we already talked about it, so we don't have to go into that. But I guess I forgot that it was part of his email was about something we already talked about. But I am glad that he sent these. I would like to get more of these that we can touch on or get our listeners involved. We don't have the ability to take calls. I just don't have that kind of phone system. We don't have somebody to screen calls. It's just not going to work with this show. But if you send your emails, we can get you guys involved. And that's fun to me. I want to get to know our listeners. I want to know what they think. I want to know what we can do better. But anyway, that was the X Brand Forum check-in. Just thoughts on podcasts, what you like. My favorite non-moto podcast is Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert, where they take a athlete or a actor or whatever, and they talk about real life stuff. They talk about mental health, just different things like that, drug abuse, because Dax is in recovery. It's just interesting. It doesn't have to be the same topic every week. It's just something different. Anyway, Pro X highs and lows. You got yours set up?
Yeah.
Don't tell me. I got to do the read.
Okay.
You ready? All right.
Sure.
Pro X is rooted in racing from motocross to off-road, supporting teams like Pro Circuit Kawasaki and Pro Yamaha and SLR Honda. Pro X has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975, from complex jobs like an engine rebuild to simple maintenance like filters, chains, sprockets, and more. Pro X aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. Visit prox-usa.com to search for parts for your bike today and follow them on social media. Pro X, highs and lows. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
Mine are the fact that we had countless things to watch motocross wise this weekend.
That's your high?
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
high. And my low was that it was 4th of July weekend, and I've been totally healthy for like 5 months, and I get like a cold and feel
Right.
like crap the whole entire holiday. So
Yeah.
that's my low.
Okay, I'm going to go my high. One of my highs was also so much racing. It was also my low because it was hard to keep up with. I was watching World Supercross
I know.
while I was watching Redbud, and that was very difficult. But no, it falls more on the high side. Geertz being back in MXGP, that was a high because I didn't think he'd come back and dominate like that. And Seaver's performance, that was another high. I was really stoked on how Jeremy rode. I don't want to rate my other low after we've already talked about it, but I put World Supercross disorganization. I wanted to get better. Again, I'm glad we have more racing. I'm glad there's a place for these guys to race. I just want them to tighten it up a little bit, and I think they'll get there. But it was a little struggle.
You didn't like the Ralph when he was going to all the rock stuff, or like they had like those little extras.
Oh, I loved when we did the birth of heavy metal. I thought that was great. That was actually, people don't like the segments sometimes. The what do we call those? There's a term for those type of segments. I'm blanking on what it's called, but I liked that one. I knew it was coming because he had been posting about it. Yeah, I dug that. I could have had a lot more of.
Yeah, but what are they? Are they going to do something like that every week? Like, I mean,
well, yeah, I'm sure they will do something. Well, it won't be every week because we're not racing for 3 months, but
every round.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. I'm sure they will do something like that from each country. I would have to assume.
Yeah.
Did you? I thought you were about to. I thought we maybe had a listener question. It looked like you were just checking up the. Yeah, you guys, don't forget you can listen and watch live on the Vital MX YouTube channel if you're listening to this in post, and you can get on chat with the listeners. We got a great group of listeners that are here every week and communicate. Scotty joins in, so please do that when you can. 6D picks for the Wick. Since its inception almost 12 years ago, 60 Helmets has been dedicated to the relentless pursuit of brain protection from the original ATR-1 to its successor, the ATR-2. The goal is to develop a revolutionary design concept utilizing creative, forward-thinking technology that would change the market and improve the safety capabilities of the sports helmets. Basically, they redesigned the helmet, the interior safety capabilities, and it's absolutely one of the best helmets on the market. It's rebuildable within limits, depending on how bad you damage it. They can generally rebuild it. They understand that the cost of the helmet's very expensive. It's really, I think, one of the only helmets that is a possibility. So visit 60helmets.com, check them out, or go to your local dealership. And I believe the ATR-3 is on its way. I don't know much about it, but I've heard rumors there's a new version coming. 60 picks for Southwick. What you got there, Scotty?
I'm gonna go. We're going to wild limb and say that Jet number 1.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Chase 2.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go Plessinger 3.
AP.
Yeah.
Man.
He needs a bounce back, and I feel like Southwick will be a good track for him. You know, it's ruddy, it's sandy. He does good in that kind of stuff. I think I'm here for it.
Okay. I had basically the same picks as Lewis. I had Jet, Chase, and Dylan. I am changing those because I'm changing it. So I'm going to go Chase.
I almost went Chase.
Yeah, I'm going to go Chase, Dylan, AC.
So
Just totally, like, something happens to Jet. I don't know. I know it's not going to happen, but.
Hey, I mean, you never say never.
Yeah, I look back to see, like, at our picks from last week to see, and I usually don't read them what we did last week unless somebody gets them.
Yeah. Am I the only one that's ever gotten one of these right?
Yeah, I think so. So, like, I had RJ, because we did 250s too. I had RJ, Hunter, Deegan. That didn't happen. Deegan, you did, or TJ did Deegan, Hunter, and Daxton Bennett. Yeah, those you were Hunter, Shimoda.
Hey, when Daxton was number 1 qualifier, though, we were all like,
Yeah, I knew TJ couldn't be right. There's no way.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Redbud. So the picks we had, I had Jet, Chase, and Cooper Webb. You had Chase, Jet, and Ferrandis. And TJ had Jet, Chase, and I just wrote the letter A down, so it must be AC. Anyway, good show.
Yeah.
Thanks to Austin Forkner and Justin Brayton for coming on. Lux Turner, we'll get him on again soon. Thank you to Lewis Phillips for coming on. Thank you to you for being in studio. We'll thank all of our sponsors, our presenting sponsors, Race Tech, Boyesen, also Pro X, X Brand Goggles, Guts Racing, FXR, 6D, Luxon, Motul, WSA. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I won't be in the next two, so.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know what the plan. I'll be in California for the next two. We'll be doing them from Michael Lindsay's studio. I don't know exactly how we're gonna do it. I'm sure we'll try to give you a call. It'll be different. We'll just have to figure it out.
Role reversal.
We're not gonna have the same exact setup, so we'll just figure it out as we go. But yeah, fun show. Really enjoyed it. MotoXpod show at gmail.com. Please, I want to get a ton of emails this week. We're out.